It's just cute where they got the old stuff, they got the new stuff, they got the castles. It just reminds me of like, I mean, there's
The judge in Donald Trump's defamation trial threatened to kick Trump out of the courtroom and repeatedly scolded Trump's lawyer for being very bad at her job. Meanwhile, Trump repeated his claim that he should have complete and total immunity to break any laws he wants as president, even when he, quote, crosses the line. For more on this, it's time for a closer look.
Upside down his life.
Not that they ever meant it. The Republican Party has abandoned any pretense of caring about the Constitution or so-called limited government. As we've explained on this show before, that's what they used to say when they criticized Democrats. In fact, they were so hysterical about it, they even started using props.
I think they need to return to constitutional government. I think they shredded the Constitution.
This is like the whims of a dictatorship, where the elite leaders decide what parts of laws they like, what parts of laws they don't like, what they themselves will be subjected to.
They believe in principles of big government. They believe in this relentless assault on our constitutional right.
Is it time the president just already do this already first Constitution?
That's a Fox host lighting a pocket Constitution on fire. Does he think that's the only copy? It really lessens the impact when the thing you're setting on fire is something they sell at museums for $1. It's like if a protester threw paint on a Van Gogh self-portrait that was printed on a mouse pad. It's like the time NBC told me they wouldn't pay to let me have a Beatles song in a closer look, and I was so mad I ripped up a photocopy of my ID. Well, in that case, see you tomorrow. The point is that supposed reverence for the Constitution was BS. They all immediately fell in line behind Donald Trump, the man who was president repeatedly claimed he had total authority to do whatever he wanted. And now Trump is claiming he must have complete and total immunity from prosecution. Last week, for example, a lawyer argued in court that the president should have the power to order SEAL Team 6 to murder a political opponent. When he was asked about that hypothetical, Trump basically agreed.
You agree with the lawyers when they said on Tuesday that you should not be prosecuted, would not be prosecuted if you ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill a political opponent?
I say this, on immunity, very simple. If a president of the United States does not have immunity, he'll be totally ineffective because he won't be able to do anything, because it will mean he'll be prosecuted, strongly prosecuted perhaps, as soon as he leaves office.
Okay, well, yeah, the act of protection of the fucking United States,
I'm not talking just me, I'm talking
not
any
just because
president has to have
nigga was like,
immunity.
hey,
Quick,
you got
somebody
no
give me a
hands
barbecue
here,
lighter
I
and
don't
the
want to
8-3
smell
social studies
something.
textbook. And by the way, Trump says he's talking about any president, but I do think he means just him. Look, I don't mean just me. I mean any president should be allowed to use a violent mob to overthrow an election and pay hush money to porn stars. And if Joe Biden does that, my hands will be tied. Trump is making it sound like if we prosecute him for inciting an insurrection and trying to overthrow American democracy, then future presidents will be indicted nonstop for much smaller stuff, which is obviously ridiculous. He wants us to believe that if he's convicted for January 6th, then Joe Biden will start getting parking tickets for leaving his Stingray in a loading zone. I'm loading something around. I'm loading some olive oil for nature. Sweet Melissa, Midnight Rider, you know the songs. We're going to blast some tunes and feel the wind in our hair. Then, we're going to down some lactate and crush some ice cream cones. And now Trump has doubled down on that immunity claim. And yet another bender on his fake social media site, Truth Social. In an all-caps post, he insisted he should have total immunity even for actions that may otherwise be illegal.
Here's what Donald Trump has been posting recently on his Truth Social account just within the last few hours. Quote, A president of the United States must have full immunity, without which it would be impossible for him or her to properly function. Any mistake, he writes, even if well-intended, would be met with almost certain indictment by the opposing party at term end. Even events that cross the line must fall under total immunity.
It's chilling when Donald Trump uses the words cross the line, because that means he knows there's such a thing as lines. So you know there are lines, and you still orchestrated a coup, still classified documents, extorted a foreign country.
I mean, he doesn't know where they at.
Insulted Gold Star families, called fallen soldiers suckers and losers, tried to kill your own vice president, doctored a weather map with a Sharpie, and creeped on an American flag.
He don't know where the fuck they at. Like, they could be
This is not a man who has
looking.
any moral limitations, so I can't imagine what he means by saying he should be allowed to cross the line. What's he gonna do? Imprison his
Maybe he gonna drive on the other side of the road. Like, how you know that ain't what he's talking about? He could be talking about driving on the other side of the road because he heard they doing it in Australia and he want to see what that be like.
You can't have more open contempt with law than
That's
less worse than Trump's lawyers, because while Trump is
saying
screaming
some
about
foul,
social
stupid
media's lawyer, Alina Habba, has been repeatedly scolded and reprimanded by a federal judge during Donald Trump's trial in New York for defaming Eugene Carroll. Now, if you're not familiar with Habba, she's the Trump lawyer who frequently does press conferences outside courthouses where she says ridiculous stuff. Like the time she claimed Trump's children were being harassed by the courts.
He will open himself up to whatever they want because he's not afraid. People that are afraid cower. President Trump doesn't cower. And now these children are being brought in away from their families for doing nothing wrong.
These poor, innocent Trump children, they're being brought in away from their families without their toys. Now they have no time to do their homework. When are they going to learn to count to numbers like 40, 42, and 46, which are their ages? So that's Alina Habba. She's clearly not a real lawyer so much as a PR person for Trump, and that much has been apparent during the defamation trial, where she keeps making embarrassing mistakes, and the judge, Lewis Kaplan, keeps scolding her for those mistakes. When you're a judge, a Trump lawyer walks into your courtroom, you must know your job just got a lot harder. It's like being a basketball referee and seeing one of the players warming up has a sword. Oh, it's gonna be a long night. Do you think you can have a sword? For example, as you may know, if you're a lawyer or a person who reads, or if you've ever seen an episode of Suits, there are rules for introducing evidence in a trial. I'm no Ivy League constitutional scholar, but I do know you can't just take out random pieces of paper in the middle of a trial and start reading it without first going through the formal process of entering that document into evidence and making sure the judge and the opposing side knows what it is. And yet Habba tried to do exactly that yesterday, and the judge was furious.
This is a moment that she has with the judge where she is reading a document in court. The judge says, "What exhibit is this, Ms. Habba?" Ms. Habba, "I'm trying to put in, Your Honor. I have to ask about it." The judge, "Guess what? You may not read from a document that's not in evidence." Ms. Habba, "Sure, let me get it in." The judge, "No, we're going to take a break now, during which you should refresh your memory about how it is you get a document into evidence."
Oh, you want her to refresh her memory on how to introduce evidence? Well, joke's on you, Judge. She never knew how to introduce evidence. At one point, he got even more fed up with Habba when she made a ridiculous motion for a mistrial. During her cross-examination, Habba asked Carroll, "Are you aware it is illegal to delete evidence?" Carroll's lawyer, "Objection. Habba, I move for a mistrial. Evidence has been deleted." Judge, "Denied, and the jury will disregard everything Ms. Habba just said." Man, that is brutal. She's so bad at this, the judge is basically telling the jury, just pretend she's not here. The judge is talking about her the way you talk to your kids about the weird guy on the subway. You said the end is nigh. What does that even mean, Daddy? Just disregard it. Also, I love the way they're making an accusation, and before the witness can even respond, motioning for mistrial based on your accusation. What other high-level tactics will Habba try? "Miss Carroll, are you aware that loser says what?" "Objection. I move for mistrial." They interrupted before the witness could say what, and thus prove she's a loser. Judge, motion is denied, and from now on, the jury will be instructed to wear blindfolds and noise-canceling headphones every time Miss Habba speaks. But of course, it's not just Habba who's getting the judge's last nerve. The judge also threatened to kick Trump out of the courtroom because Trump could be heard muttering disparaging comments during the trial. And even then, Trump could not help but get into a back and forth with the judge.
throughout her testimony, he was leaning over, talking to his lead attorney, Alina Hava. Now, at one point in a break, when the jury was out of the room, Carol's attorney raises to the judge, saying that she could hear him saying words such as con job, saying this was false and a lie. And so she raised this issue to the judge. The judge had asked Trump to be careful about what he was saying, but it continued. And then again, later on, this came up again, and the judge had this very tense exchange with the former president in court. The judge told him that he disregards court orders. I hope I don't have to consider excluding you from the trial. I understand you're probably eager for me to do that. Trump replied audibly, I would love it. The judge said, I know you would. You just can't control yourself in this circumstance, apparently.
The judge actually had to tell a former president of the
Wow.
United States.
He definitely talked to that nigga like he was a baby.
You can't even
Like,
control an umbrella. Think about it.
he talked to that nigga like he was about 4 for real.
He's gone from the most powerful man in the world to alleged criminal, muttering about con jobs in a New York court.
I know you can't help yourself, man. I understand. It's gonna be okay.
30 points. So things are so crazy right now. In a year, Trump's either going to be president again, or we're going to see him in Times Square offering to take pictures of tourists next to Elmo and Spider-Man. A picture costs $10, but for $20, I can hump you like the American flag. This is fundamentally a lawless movement with open contempt for the Constitution and criminal justice system. Not only they want total and complete immunity from prosecution, they can't even bother to learn the basic rules of how a courtroom functions. Trump is such an obvious criminal. The only lawyers he can get to represent him are ones who are
Totally ineffective.
This has been a closer look. Hey everybody, thanks for watching A Closer Look. And as a reminder, my brother Josh and I have started a new podcast called Family Trips with the Myers Brothers. We hope you listen. We hope you like it. See you soon.
Come back to your senses. Bath and Body Works.
This is a big night for us, right? This is a big night. Tonight is, and I'm going to hold something up here, Jim. I can give you a shot of this. This is show number right there. This is episode 1447. Okay, our show. And you're like, and everybody at home, the studio's going, obviously, we all celebrate 1447 of something. It's 147th anniversary is always the most special one. Why is it important to you that you've done that many shows, Stephen? That's because 1,447 is the total number of shows from the Colbert Report we did back in the old days. As of tonight, here's the 1447 more. Here's the 1447 more. Folks, I am amazed and delighted by the pace of technology these days, is what I say on the air every so often. So the robots won't harvest me in the uprising. And I'd like to tell you all about the latest digital developments and the bleeps, the blorps, and the bloops. In my tech segment, Cyborgasm. First up on Cyborgasm, Volkswagen says that it's putting ChatGPT in its cars for enriching conversations. Conversations like, I have ChatGPT in my car. Really? Why? I don't know, man. I don't know. You ever just feel like it's the end? Like we're living for the end? Anyway, officer, I have no idea why you pulled me over. Car company says drivers will be able to use ChatGPT for basic car functions as well as answering general knowledge questions, although it warns that user discretion is advised given ChatGPT's penchant for occasionally making stuff up. I'm going to go ahead and say that Making stuff up might be disqualifying for a 4,000-pound metal box hurtling down the highway at 80 miles per hour. Exit here for Starbucks. Psych, you were on a bridge. Gotcha. La 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 la. Last week in Las Vegas was the annual Consumer Electronics Show. The event that answers pressing questions like, what if your waffle iron was blockchain? This year, a company unveiled the world's first smart anti-snoring pillow. Finally, a replacement for the age-old anti-snoring technology. Evie putting her feet in the small of my back and flipping me like an omelet. Sometimes she just reaches out and runs her hand down my face to wake me up long enough so I'll stop snoring. But then I'll feel it, wake up and look, and she'll pretend to be asleep. So I think there's a stranger or a ghost in the house just rubbing my face.
That is foul. Like, oh my
So I'm
God.
excited about this product. Is what I'm saying.
No, that's crazy.
So many exciting new products. So many exciting new products are unveiled, including a smart toothbrush that talks through your bones. Okay, so it is the end times. They just can't find anything else to sell us. They don't need any more food. They've got more entertainment than they can possibly continue. What can we sell these flesh bags? Wait, we've never marketed directly to their bones before. That'll work. The bones don't have a brain. They'll fall for anything. Stupid bones. Anyway, the Bone Brush features an AI voice guide that uses bone conduction technology to offer tips to help improve your technique as you brush. Like if you're applying too much pressure or focusing too much time on one side of your mouth, all through spoken directions that only you can hear. Yes, just do what the toothbrush says. Nobody else hears you, but I do. Wait, what's that, Brushy? What's that? 4 out of 5 dentists agree killing Ronald Reagan would impress Jodie Foster.
Wow. That is crazy.
Next up, LG has unveiled the world's first transparent OLED TV. Perfect for anyone who loves watching TV, but also loves watching the wall behind their TV. Next up, my girlfriend bots are already flooding OpenAI's GPT store. You can get a virtual sweetheart to send you questions like, what does your dream girl look like? And share with me your darkest secret. You know, girlfriend stuff. What's the most blackmailable thing you've ever done, baby? Now let's look into each other's eyes and say our favorite social security numbers. More news out of CES, the world's first ever smart binoculars can identify 9,000 birds thanks to built-in AI. Because if there's one time you really want to feel like you're hardwired into cyberspace, it's when you're bird watching. Reminds me of that famous Henry David Thoreau quote, "This pond sucks, needs more computers." We'll be right back with Climb On. This is late night. We hope you're doing well, and now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. The 75th Annual Emmy Awards and the Iowa caucuses were held on Monday, and in both cases, its final award went to an angry man with terrible children. President Biden this week traveled to Philadelphia, as presidents typically do after a horrific disaster. President Biden today met with congressional leadership to discuss his request for security funding, which includes money for border security, because every day this guy's looking more and more like a flight risk. Vivek Ramaswamy announced this week that he was suspending his presidential campaign. He plans to return to his true passion, tearing down the Teen Rec Center to build a shopping mall. You can do it. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson also announced yesterday that he was suspending his presidential campaign. Did I say announced? I meant muttered to himself.
What was that, Asa? No, nothing. What will it tell you? Are you still running for president, Asa? In a new interview with Fox News, presidential candidate Nikki Haley said that the U.S. has, quote, never been a racist country. So if her campaign doesn't pan out, she could always get a job teaching history in Florida. Democratic Senator John Fetterman is reportedly working on a memoir titled Unfettered, and I like that every picture of him looks like he just thought of that title. Pixar is reportedly planning to lay off 20% of its workforce. Oh, come on! The man just lost his wife in 2009. Both a specious premise and a huge bummer. That's what Mike Stallings brings to a monologue show. It doesn't quite track, but everybody will be sad. A reptile wrangler in Australia was recently called after a mother found a venomous snake in her son's underwear drawer. Said her son, she didn't find anything else in there, did she? I propose nothing. Does weed kill snakes? The Michael Kors suit worn by actress Nicole Kidman in the AMC 3 movie ad is set to go for auction and is expected to sell it for up to $10,000, or you could just use that money to go to the movies and get a snack. And finally, Taco Bell has released a new cinnamon twist cereal, which hopefully sells better than their last one, tacos. And that was a monologue happening. In a surprise move, the judge in Donald Trump's New York fraud trial allowed him to speak during closing arguments today, less than a day after Trump and his lesser-known GOP rivals each took to the airwaves to make their case for the GOP nomination. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Today, the judge overseeing Trump's $370 million civil fraud trial heard closing arguments to the case, which could very well wipe out Trump's business empire and put a sizable dent in his personal wealth. And even if you know nothing about the merits of the case, I think you can tell how it's going from the scowl on Trump's face in the courtroom today and the smile on the face of New York Attorney General Letitia James. As a general rule, you never want to look over at the prosecutor in your court case and see him making this face. Especially when you're used to lawyers who only make this face. The only time Rudy has ever smiled in court was when he found a dollar clipped to his closing arguments. Hey, boss, look what I found inside my trapper keeper. Now, Trump had already asked to deliver his own closing arguments in the case, but the judge refused because Trump wouldn't agree to follow basic rules like sticking to material and relevant information instead of, going on and on for 20 minutes about windmills or toilets that don't flush. But then today, the judge relented and gave Trump 5 minutes to speak in the courtroom, and Trump, of course, used it to whine about his usual BS.
As we speak, former President Trump is in a courtroom in New York speaking. No cameras in this courtroom, but as we understand it, he is going on a bit of a monologue right now. Trump's attorney, Chris Kise, summarized his argument. Other attorneys have got up to summarize theirs, but then Chris Kise got up just a few moments ago and asked if former President Trump could address the court, and he then launched into what our colleagues who are inside describe as a monologue, telling the court, quote, "The facts are the financial statements are perfect. There are no witnesses against us. The banks got all their money paid back. There were great loans. This was a political witch hunt. We have a situation where I am an innocent man." He said, quote, "I've been persecuted by somebody running for office."
Trump has immediately launched into an attack of the Attorney General. He's saying that she hates Trump and is just using this case to get elected.
It's always so weird to hear reporters read Trump's remarks. It's like listening to a tourist read a menu in a language they don't speak. I just left the courtroom where Trump was delivering his remarks to the court. He told the judge, quote, "You hate Trump. You're a Trump hater. This is a witch hunt. Just like Russia. It was a perfect document. Just like it was a perfect phone call. This case has no merit. and you should just kill it. Like how windmills are killing birds. One day a bird came up to me, big bird, strong bird, tears pouring down his beady little eyes and onto his weird little beak, and he said to me, Mr. Trump, sir, you're totally innocent. Squawk, 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 squawk. The defendant continued making squawking noises for several minutes, and then he said, so anyway, that's where the term legal eagle comes from, which is not true. And then the defendant began dancing to YMCA, even though there was no music playing in the courtroom. Back to you. Back to you, and please don't ever come back to me. These latest legal developments come less than a day after some major news in the presidential race. Three things happened in the GOP primary last night. Chris Christie dropped out. Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis took part in a junior varsity debate on CNN, and Trump counter-programmed them with his own town hall on Fox News, where he once again could not decide between sitting on the high chair they gave him or standing on the stage, resulting in an awkward in-between where he straddled the chair with his wide stance like it was one of those extra-tall toilets they sell at Home Depot. I mean, good Lord, he looks like Spider-Man looking out over the city. Why don't you guys just sit in regular, comfortable chairs made for normal humans? I'm not sure who makes the final call here, but I have a feeling Trump is the one who keeps requesting these tall chairs because it thinks it makes him look commanding, when in reality, it makes him look like he's balancing on a city bike at a red light. The biggest news yesterday was arguably not what anyone said in front of the cameras, but was said behind closed doors, because right before his announcement that he was dropping out, Christie was caught on a hot mic giving his honest opinions of Haley and DeSantis, but the mic was cut off mid-sentence just as it was about to get good.
Spent 16 days so far, 59 by DeSantis, and we spent 12. If he's punching above their weight and who's giving a return on their investment, and she's going to get swept. And you and I both know that she's not into this. She's just going to he's back. We're going to carry on. Yes, always. I talked to DeSantis closely. Petrified, and I would.
Petrified that you would what? Endorse Haley? Reveal his true height? Teach children about slavery? Maybe DeSantis was petrified that Trump had a new nickname for him. He thought Meatball Ron was bad. Get ready for Ron the Pampers. So now that Christie has dropped out, the field of Trump alternatives has narrowed even further. There's Bigg Ramaswamy, who everyone hates. He's like if a tech bro made an AI of an even worse tech bro. That dude blows harder than the open door on Alaska Airlines. That's the sound it makes when the door comes off. Oh. Then there's DeSantis and Haley, the only two non-Trump candidates polling high enough to qualify for last night's CNN debate, who chose once again not to attack the frontrunner, but rather to take turns yelling at each other and repeating mostly incoherent talking points for 2 hours. They each came prepared with their pre-planned lines. Haley, for example, kept name-checking a website about DeSantis she wanted everyone to go to.
What we're going to do is, rather than have him go and tell you all these lies, you can go to DeSantisLies.com. Go to DeSantisLies.com and you can find out for yourself. Stop lying. DeSantisLies.com. That is not true. DeSantisLies.com. It's a shame that we had to put up DeSantisLies.com.
We get it. I haven't seen someone plug a website this month since they renamed Staples Center Crypto.com. Well, maybe Haley can get the naming rights to a football stadium. I mean, she'd have to find a team that's really desperate. So I guess welcome to the new home of the New York Jets. It's amazing how bad these people are at branding compared to Trump. Haley's wasting her time plugging a new website she probably built on Squarespace with a discount from a podcast promo code. Meanwhile, Trump called DeSantis a meatball once and his campaign was over. And for his part, DeSantis also confused everyone by robotically quoting Ronald Reagan, but didn't even pick a famous Reagan quote that everyone knows. He chose a quote from Reagan's 1976 speech at the Republican National Convention, in which Reagan said something about painting in bold colors, not pale pastels. DeSantis kept repeating that mysterious phrase.
We need to fly a flag of bold colors, carrying the banner of putting the American people first, not the pale pastels of the warmed-over corporatism of people like Nikki Haley. You should work with corporate CEOs.
Thanks, Governor.
That is pale pastels. We need to run under the banner of bold colors that are putting the American people first. We can't run under a banner of pale pastels.
Pale pastel sounds like a safe word you'd use during an orgy on Easter. Pale pastels, pale pastels. Sorry, it's just someone's toes in my ear. No, I liked it at first. The point is, the also-rans, just days before the first votes were cast, mostly wasted their time with pointless nonsense last night, while Trump, the far and away frontrunner, was on Fox News during his usual shtick. For example, at one point, he was asked about a recent congressional report that found he collected millions in payments from foreign companies, most notably China, during his presidency. And not only did Trump refuse to take responsibility or separate himself from his business in his second term, he made up a completely fictional story about George Washington to defend himself.
You know, there is this report, House Democrats, documents that say that nearly $8 million in payments to your businesses from foreign governments, China included, Saudi Arabia, while you were in office. They say Article 1 of the Constitution says you can't accept money from foreign governments while president. Would you pledge to divest from your business in the second term as other presidents have done? So that's what they're reporting.
I own hotels all over. I don't get free money. You know, George Washington was a very rich man. People don't know that. In his essentially White House, which wasn't built, but they had an office, he had a business desk and he had a country desk right next to each other. You're allowed to do that.
Now, it won't surprise you to learn that Washington's estate at Mount Vernon has said they have no idea what Trump's talking about. And I understand why they want to issue a denial, because otherwise they'll get MAGA tourists asking to see both desks. Hey, can you show us the room where Washington did all his secret deals, you know, with the business desk? I mean, how would that even work? You have two separate desks next to each other, one for business and one for president stuff. You're making it sound like a 90s sitcom episode. And then, of course, you mix it up once and did business at the country desk, which is how we got the Louisiana Purchase. Not a lot of people know that because it's not true. I just made it up. Trump can't even be bothered to cover up his corruption well. For example, the Fox host also asked him about his repeated calls for retribution and revenge on the campaign trail. His allies are already drawing up plans to use the Justice Department to go after perceived enemies, but Trump's denial is very convincing.
When you're in your rallies, you spend a lot of time talking about retribution. And so there are questions about how much a second term of a Donald Trump presidency, second term, would be about retribution and looking backwards and grievances, and how much would be looking forward.
Well, first of all, a lot of people would say that that's not so bad. Look what they did. Russia hugs, the FBI Twitter hugs, the 51 intelligence agents hugs, all of these different hoaxes that they did. I mean, you know, a lot of people would say that's probably quite normal. I'm not going to have time for retribution. We're going to make this country so successful again. I'm not going to have time for retribution.
Are we supposed to find that reassuring? You won't seek retribution not because it's a terrible thing to do, but because you'll be too busy. That's like if you asked Hannibal Lecter if he plans on eating any more people, and he said, "Oh, absolutely not. I had to make one." It's even less reassuring when that answer comes just hours after Trump sent out a fundraising email to his supporters that said in all caps, and this is real, "I am your retribution," when it clearly should have said, "I am your retribution, time permitting." Trump's rivals still can't bring themselves to go after him. He's facing a fraud trial that's wiped out his entire business empire. Judging from his face in court, he's definitely worried about it. He's so scared, he's white as a sheet. He should change his name to
Pale pastels.
This has been a closer look. Hey everybody, thanks for watching A Closer Look. And as a reminder, my brother Josh and I have started a new podcast called Family Trips with the Myers Brothers. We hope you listen. We hope you like it. We'll see you soon. With the Iowa caucus just a week away, President Biden has intensified his attacks on GOP frontrunner Donald Trump, in part by delivering a major speech on threats to democracy and the anniversary of January 6th, and Trump has responded by somehow finding new ways to unravel into an even more unhinged and incoherent mess. For more on this, it's time for A Closer Look. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but we're now just a week away from the first votes of the 2024 election season. And honestly, I'm not sure I can handle another presidential election that's as manic and terrifying as the last two. I mean, physically, like in terms of the toll it will take on me. Here's what it looked like during the 2016 election. Here's what it looked like during the 2020 election. And here's what I'll look like by November 2024, according to AI. F you, AI! Nonetheless, the Iowa caucus is just a week away. And say what you will about Donald Trump, he's finally getting serious and showing voters that he's laser focused on the issues that matter to them.
If I didn't run, or if I was like running in third, fourth, fifth place or something, I wouldn't be indicted. They're not going to indict me. They go after the one in first place. You know, they're not stupid. They go after the person. A lot of people say, they ask me two questions. First, they say, sir, how do you do it? How do you wake up in the morning and put on your pants? And I say, well, I don't think about it too much. I don't want to think about it because if I think about it too much, maybe I won't want to do it.
So let me see if I have this right. People come up to you, Donald Trump, the former president and current four-time criminal defendant, and their number one burning question for you is, how do you put on your pants? And your response to them is, I don't overthink it, because if you do overthink it, you might not want to do it. The implication being that if you take even a second, contemplate the overwhelming weight of all the spiritual and existential dread that weighs on you at all times, you'll just forego pants and either get back into bed or walk around the house pantsless. And you said this not to a therapist, but rather a large audience at a campaign rally. And when they heard it,
Hey, what father was doing? Oh, that's horrible.
they were cool with it and didn't slowly and awkwardly make their way to the exits while muttering, he can't be president. I don't think he can have any job where pants are required.
I don't think he can have any job where pants are required.
Also, we've seen your pants, dude. I assumed you either slept in them or got tangled in some drapes and just decided to go with that. Also, why is his audience okay with how dumb he makes that sound? People come up to me and they say, sir? It's very hard to talk to you people. You're not. Nobody in the mood. I've sadly been listening to this guy for the better part of a decade, and I have to say, he's somehow becoming even less coherent, and that's quite a feat. Here's a completely unhinged rant from Trump about aircraft carriers or magnets or something.
I could tell you about the elevators on a tremendous aircraft carrier, the Gerald Ford. They decided not to use hydraulics like a John Deere tractor. They decided to use magnets. We're going to use magnets to lift up the elevators with 7 blades on them. We need them fast, these massive elevators. They used magnets. They wanted to try it for the first time. They had an almost $1 billion cost overrun on the magnetic elevators. Think of it, magnets. Now, what I know about magnets is this. Give me a glass of water. Let me drop it on the magnets. That's the end of the magnets.
No. It's not. Water doesn't defeat magnets. You're confusing magnets with fire or cell phones. They're different things. If you drop a glass of water on some magnets, all you have are some wet, still functioning magnets. Also, if water did break magnets, you'd drop the magnet into the glass of water. You wouldn't drop the glass of water on the magnets. Even this crazy nonsense book is more wrong than it has to be. If you drop a glass of water on a magnet, you have a wet, working magnet in a pile of broken glass. You're like Mr. Wizard with a massive head injury. Drop the glass on the magnet. I don't know, Mr. Wizard. Do it. It will break the magnet. I'm pretty sure it'll break the glass. No way of knowing unless we try. I feel like I do. Do it. Smash. Oh, well, we can put all the pieces in the freezer and they'll stick back together. But Mr. Wizard, it's not ice, it's glass. It looks like ice. Pour. That's the word you want. Pour. Drop. By the way, we had to significantly cut down that aircraft carrier magnet story for brevity and clarity. The original version was much longer. We've shown you Trump's whole rant unedited. By the time it was over, you can watch the Today Show. Now, I think Trump may have been a little distracted while with legal troubles swirling around. He's now been disqualified from the ballot in not one but 2 states for violating the 14th Amendment right side and more states will join them. And this week alone, he's facing yet another series of major court dates.
Another big week in court for Donald Trump. Monday is the deadline for pretrial motions challenging the charges in Georgia. Tuesday, he plans to be in D.C. when the Circuit Court of Appeals hears his claims of immunity on January 6th related charges. Then 2 days later, closing arguments will begin in his New York civil fraud trial. And then he might be in New York on January 16th for the E. Jean Carroll defamation trial. The stakes couldn't be higher or more time sensitive. The D.C. election interference case's original trial date of March 4th remains in limbo. And that trial date affects Trump's Mar-a-Lago trial date, which affects his Manhattan DA's criminal case trial date, and so on and so on.
It's not good when a list of your ongoing court cases ends with and so on and so on. Cable news is literally 24/7. They don't have time to list every trial date Trump is facing. I'm not sure we could either. I mean, let's see here. The election interference trial date affects his Mar-a-Lago trial date, which affects his Hush Money trial date, which affects his Manhattan traffic court trial date, which affects his dog napping trial date, which affects his trial date for stuffing dinner rolls from the salad buffet of Ruby Tuesday in his coat pocket, which affects his Supreme Court trial date, which affects his Planet Fitness 3 trial date, which affects his lawsuit against Planet Fitness for false advertising because he thought it was an actual planet and not a gym trial date, which affects his jaywalking trial date, which affects his treason trial date, which affects his trial date for getting out of bed in the morning and putting on his pants. Trump is clearly shaken by the court cases and the rulings disqualifying him from ballot, as well as Biden's decision to focus on the ongoing threat to democracy Trump poses. On Friday, Biden gave a speech marking the 3-year anniversary of the January 6th attack and specifically called out Trump multiple times.
Today, we're here to answer the most important question. Is democracy still America's sacred cause? Jesus. Trump is now promising a full-scale campaign of revenge and retribution. His words. For some years ago. They were his words, not mine. He went on to say he'd be a dictator on day one. If I write a book of fiction, I said, an American president said that. Not in jest. He's threatened the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff with the death penalty. Because he should be put to death because the chairman put his oath to the Constitution ahead of his personal loyalty to Trump. That's coming from a president who called when he visited his cemetery, called dead soldiers suckers and losers. Remember that? Sometimes we'll be happy. Courage can't be seen.
Biden's the only president who refers to his ethnicity like it's a Hulk who has to be restrained at all times. You wouldn't like me when I'm Irish. Also, can we go back to this?
If I write a book of fiction, I said an American president said that. Not in jest.
I truly wish Joe Biden would write a book of fiction, also known as a novel. I love imagining famous first lines if they were written by Joe Biden. It was the best of times, it was the worst. I mean it, folks. It was the darkest storm. I'm not kidding around. Call me Ishmael. I'll call you Jack. So Biden laid out the threat to democracy in clear and plain spoken terms. Now let's see Donald Trump enter the intellectual arena with his thoughtfully crafted response.
Rookie Joe is staging his pathetic fear-mongering campaign event in Pennsylvania today. Did you see him? He was studying through the whole thing. He's talking about he's threatening democracy. They've weaponized government. He's saying, I'm a threat to democracy. He's a threat to democracy.
Great. So our choice this November is between a guy who's 81 years old and another guy who's in 3rd grade. This is what you sound like. Democracy. You lost the election, Bob. You lost the election, Bob. And sure, it's easy for Trump not to stumble when he's talking about important stuff like pants and magnets. Oh, I just had a thought. What if Trump puts his pants on with magnets? Every morning I wake up, slip a couple of magnets into my tidy whities, and then my heavily magnetized pants shoot out of the closet, and they come right onto my legs. It's a wonderful system. The only downside, I can't go outside if it's raining because, as you all know, as it's well been established by science, if magnets get even a little bit wet, boom, pants around my ankles. That's why I wear a giant coat. Does Biden stumble? You're voting for Trump. You're looking for a candidate who never flubs their words. That's the truth. Well, in other words,
the students of Springfield Elementary have each created an alternative energy vehicle, one of which will ensure the future of humanity, as determined by a short list. What is your car?
Another historic step toward future development and future with a real future. I have to say, that's a real future. Our hope is a word and world, authority and authoritarian powers, meeting expectations in the House for the midterm and midterm year, developing an internet, this is so totally important, an intercontinental ballistic missile. They sacrifice every day for the furniture and future of their children.
They sacrifice for the furniture and the future of the children. Furniture is very important for children. That's where they sit when they're putting their kids. In every election since, including 2020, when the MAGA threats and democracy has been at the center of the conversation, MAGA has lost. And that's because no matter how many inscrutable rants or conspiracy theories they spin, they can't change the basic fact that most Americans like democracy and want to keep it. And that's once again what's at stake in this election. We have to reaffirm those stakes every day from now until November, almost as if it were part of our daily routine. The same way you brush your teeth, drink your coffee, or you
wake up in the morning and put on your pants.
This has been a closer look. Hey everybody, thanks for watching a closer look. And as a reminder, my brother Josh and I have started a new podcast called Family Trips with the Myers Brothers. We hope you listen. We hope you like it. See you soon. A lawyer for Donald Trump argued in a federal appeals court yesterday that Trump should be granted absolute immunity for any crimes he committed as president. But the three-judge panel that heard the case did not seem to buy it. Also, yet another Republican hearing on Hunter Biden descended into chaos when Hunter himself showed up. For more on this, it's time for Closer Look. I know this is ancient history, but there was a time when Republicans used to pretend that their big problem with Barack Obama and the Democratic Party was so-called government overreach. They used to claim that they believed in limited government and that the Democrats were the ones acting like dictators.
I think we need to return to constitutional government. I think they shredded the Constitution.
This is like the whims of a dictatorship, where the elite leaders decide what parts of laws they like, what parts of laws they don't like, what they themselves will be subjected to.
Is it time the president just already do this towards the Constitution?
I will give President Obama the Senate Democrats credit. They believe in principles of big government. They believe in this relentless assault on our constitutional rights.
I feel very strongly about our Constitution. I'm proud of it. I love it. And I want to go through the Constitution. And that's what we want to do. I mean, we want to bring the Constitution back.
What do you mean, bring it back? Where do you think it was? On a gap year? We've got to bring the Constitution back. It's been in England for the semester. Hey, with a Magna Carta, and if we let it stay any longer, it's going to do that irritating. It starts calling elevators lifts and apartment flats. Instead of we the people, it's going to say we the blokes.
I
can we go back to look at what Ted Cruz looked like in that clip? I mean, wow. I know I've changed a lot in the past 8 years, but Ted Cruz looks like a completely different person. He used to actually look like a guy who went to Harvard and Princeton. Now he looks like a guy who flunked out of the University of Phoenix online. He's the only guy who looks like the beard grew him. All jokes aside, Ted Cruz's beard sucks, but it's still a million times better than anything I've ever grown on my face. Of course, everything is different now that I got my first tattoo yesterday, courtesy of Dua Lipa. Yesterday, tattoo. Tomorrow, beard. Friday, motorcycle. Next Monday, our new segment. What are you closer looking at, ass? I think that's how you do it, right? Well, I can't wait to find out. Anyway, the point is, Republicans used to pretend they cared about the Constitution. Then the second Trump emerged, they abandoned all of that in favor of a president who routinely said stuff like this.
I have the absolute right to declare a national emergency.
I have an absolute right to call national security.
I do have an absolute right to pardon myself.
I have the ultimate authority. When somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be. The authority is total. Article 2 allows me to do whatever I want.
I have an Article 2, I have the right to do whatever I want.
First of all, that's definitely not what it says. The founding fathers used very sedate, dignified language, like the executive power shall be vested in the president of the United States of America. Trump talks about presidential powers like they're none two flavors. I have total authority, ultimate immunity, and most importantly, I have wildberry blast. I have an Article 2 is such a New York way of saying it. He sounds like a New York City cabbie fighting over a fair in the middle of Fifth Avenue. Hey, I have my blinker on to pick him up. Well, I got an Article 2 that says I don't care. By the way, I'm not saying Democratic presidents have never overstepped their constitutional authority. They have. They're just not as audacious or overt about it. I mean, compare Trump saying he has ultimate authority to do whatever he wants to the current president, who doesn't even seem to think he has the authority to finish the sentence when the moderator cuts him off.
Plan, which is Obamacare.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you.
It's a crime, and it's not one that, in fact,
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
beyond the cost of inflation.